was listening to the Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer, and you know, stuff like that when I was in high school, and those were very powerful, lush recordings. And I was really into Steve Albini's recordings. Growing up, just they blew my mind. They were extremely ambient, very lush, very real, very documentary-like, and I take that approach on a lot of my productions. He's not into production so much, but his engineering is incredible, and tried to learn as much as I could from his engineering. Let me tell you what I like. The APIs are sweet. They're really clean, but they're very warm and still robust, and a lot of headroom. You can't really heat them up, but that's why I like them. They're really transparent, really nice transient response, kick and snare, always. Well, not always, depending on the project, of course. But they're like the rock and roll preamps. The Pacificas, those are nice. They're 70s Motown, sort of dark, but transient. Tons of gain. They're nice. They're different flavor. The 610s are like my faves. They're tube pre's, 60s Universal Audio, like with the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. Really basic primitive EQ. It's just shelf EQ at 10, 7, 4, 5, 100, 70, or 100, 200, and 70 hertz. That's all you need. Those were some great records that were made on those type of pre's, and that's the limitations they had, and they still turned out great. 1176 6176 channel strip that has 610 and 1176. Just more 610 action with a nice compressor. Great vocal compressor. Chandler is like the product of choice. Love his gear. Wade is awesome. He makes some great gear. My favorite piece, it changed my life when I got this with the TG1 compressor. Gives you that sound that the Beatles had, that 60s sort of aggressive drum sound, or super warm, dry sound like on the Floyd records or whatever. And the Curve Bender Abbey Road EQ, like 1968. I actually went to London a month ago and worked on the desk that the Beatles mastered Abbey Road and Pink Floyd mastered Dark Side of the Moon on. And they actually have the console and the original compressors of these units. So it's pretty cool. And they sound good. And the Germanium preamp is a really nice sounding preamp. Very organic sounding solid state pre. Lots of headroom if you want it to have it. Or you can thicken it and darken it. It's got a lot of different colors. The Manley Varimu, it's a very, very colorful, very smooth, buttery compressor. It's very, very expensive, but very awesome. The distressors are like outboard plugins. I think that's why they're very popular. They're digitally controlled analog path. Not much to them, other than, well, there is a lot to them. I don't use them that much because they don't have a lot of flavor. They're so generic. But that's why they're awesome. When I do need something with a lot of control and a lot of fine tuning, I can, they're Swiss Army knife type compressors. I got an API 2500 series bus compressor. Loud. And some DBX compressors. Those are nice standards, from the 80s, like kick and snare. They still sound great. If something sounds good going through those, it'll work, I guess. Transient Designer by a German company called SPL. They're a very cutting edge company. They make some incredible products. And this product here, it's called the Transient Designer. You can actually shape the transient instruments, adding more attack or taking it away, adding more sustain or taking it away. So if the kick drum, for example, a handy approach for these is kick drum's boomy. Drummer comes in, doesn't know how to tune his set. You can take that boominess, and make it tight and dry and time it to sort of fit the rhythm of the song. So it's more musical. This is a vintage 1178. I acquired that from another engineer whose studio was going out of business, but I think he wishes he didn't get rid of it because it's a great sounding compressor, especially on bass. Not so much on drums. This is a vintage Altec 436C. I think that unit there's from 1958. It doesn't sound good on much of anything, except for violin. And if it does sound good, it's going to sound incredible. But yeah, it doesn't work too well on anything. But that's why the Beatles. This is what this is the kind of compressor Paul McCartney used on the bass. The Beatles, Abbey Road, they loved those. And but they were modded heavily by EMI. The fantastic engineering there. But I have yet to mod mine, and don't know if I want to. But I do want that usability. But I don't want to sort of taint it. Yeah, and then I got some analog delay, some 1980s PCM 60s sort of reverb. That's really standard, sort of 90s, early 90s, 80s. It's cool. It's a great sounding reverb. It sounds like a digital plate. Analog delay. I got some API EQ down here, and that's my sound. This is all I use. I avoid plugins. I use the plugins when I need precision and accuracy, but when I want to get tone and I want something to be fat and colored and have life, I use this, and combinations of this and that, and I'll manipulate these even further with Pro Tools if I have to. It's fun. I also have a plate reverb in the back. It's pretty sweet. That is epic. It's a Echoplex Plate 2, 1970s, late 70s, but it's what Bruce Swindeen used on the Thriller records. So when you hear Vincent Price laugh, that's an Echo plate. Pretty cool.